In 1964, 77% of Americans said they trusted the government to do the right thing most of the time. Today, that number sits at 16%. That's not a political shift. That's a psychological collapse, 50 years in the making. And it didn't stop at government. We stopped trusting banks, corporations, the media, doctors, scientists, neighbors, and somewhere along the way, each other. The question isn't whether trust is broken. The question is, what broke it? And what did that do to us? To understand where we are, you have to go back to where it started. 1972. The Watergate break-in. For the first time in modern American history, millions of people watched a sitting president lie, live on television, and then get caught. Not in a rumor, not in a whisper, on the record, in plain sight. Something shifted that day that never fully shifted back. Because trust isn't just a feeling, it's a cognitive framework. Psychologists describe it as a mental shortcut, a system your brain uses to decide what information is safe to accept without verifying every single detail yourself. When that system works, life is manageable. When it breaks, everything requires proof. Everything becomes a potential threat. Watergate didn't just damage one presidency, it cracked the framework. And the cracks kept coming. Vietnam, the AIDS crisis mishandled by the very institutions supposed to protect people. Iran-Contra, corporate fraud on a scale nobody had imagined. Every single time, the pattern was the same. An institution asked for trust, collected it, and then spent it on something else entirely. By the 1980s, something had quietly hardened in the cultural psychology. Cynicism stopped being a fringe attitude and became a survival skill. If you weren't skeptical, you were naive. If you believed what you were told, you were a mark. This wasn't paranoia, it was pattern recognition. The brain is extraordinarily good at learning from betrayal. One bad experience with fire, and you never touch the stove the same way again. Then came the internet, and everything accelerated. In theory, more information should have built more trust. If everyone can see everything, accountability improves, right? But that's not what happened. What happened instead was information overload, and with it, the collapse of shared reality. Suddenly there wasn't one version of events, there were thousands. And the brain, faced with 1,000 conflicting versions of truth, does something predictable. It shuts down and trusts no one. Psychologists call this epistemic anxiety, the stress produced when you genuinely cannot determine what is true. It's cognitively exhausting, and the response to that exhaustion isn't curiosity, it's retreat. People stopped trying to find the truth and started finding a tribe, a group whose version of reality matched their own. Not because they were stupid. Because the brain was protecting itself. Social media poured gasoline on it. Platforms built on engagement discovered one thing very quickly. Outrage travels further than calm. Fear spreads faster than reassurance. So the algorithm learned to feed people the content most likely to make them angry, most likely to confirm that the other side was dangerous, dishonest, corrupt. And the more people saw that content, the more they believed it. The more they believed it, the less they trusted anyone outside their circle. And here's where it gets deeply psychological. When trust collapses at the societal level, it doesn't stay there. It seeps into personal life. Research from the General Social Survey shows that in 1985, about 55% of Americans said most people could be trusted. By 2022, that number had dropped to under 30%. We're not just distrusting governments and corporations anymore. We're distrusting our neighbors, our colleagues, sometimes our own families. Neuroscience gives us a window into why this is so hard to reverse. The brain processes social trust through the same regions involved in physical safety: the amygdala, the prefrontal cortex. Betrayal activates the same neural alarm system as physical danger, and once that alarm has been triggered enough times, it starts going off preemptively. Before there's any real evidence of threat, that's not cynicism anymore. That's a trauma response. The loneliness epidemic is, in large part, a trust epidemic. You cannot form deep relationships without vulnerability. You cannot be vulnerable without trust. When trust feels dangerous, when every open hand looks like it might flip over, people stop reaching out. They manage at a distance. They keep things surface level, and they call it being realistic. When really, the wiring has just been rewired by too many broken promises. But here's the thing nobody tells you about distrust. It has a cost, a serious one. Chronic distrust is linked to elevated cortisol, higher rates of cardiovascular disease, faster cognitive decline, and significantly shorter lifespans. The body keeps score. Living in a permanent state of low-grade suspicion is physiologically expensive. We didn't just lose faith in institutions, we lost years. So what do we do with this? The honest answer is, there's no easy reset. Trust, once broken at scale, rebuilds slowly, if it rebuilds at all. But psychologists studying resilience and social repair point to something consistent. Trust doesn't rebuild through big gestures or grand apologies. It rebuilds through small, repeated, reliable actions over time, the same way it was built in the first place, quietly, without fanfare. We live in an age that broke the framework. The question now is whether we have the patience to rebuild it, one small, honest moment at a time, or whether we've just accepted that this is how it is, cold, guarded, alone together. If that hits something in you, subscribe. And if you want to support this work, hit that join button. It genuinely means something.